we will hand over to Sebastian, who's going to be talking about Android.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me see if I can set this up here. All right. Can people see my screen? Is that coming up?
Yeah, looks good.
All good? Then I'll get started. All right, thanks everybody for coming to my presentation today. My name is Sebastian. I'm a part of the Android security organization at Google. And I want to thank John that he invited me again, because I've been doing this What's New in Android security presentation for, I want to say, 4 or 5 years maybe at this point. And I really appreciate coming to present to AMTSO. And I'm also excited to hear that you got a conference in Lisbon that immediately, as you mentioned that, I advertised it to my team and said, hey, consider submitting papers and presentations to that. So maybe someone from my organization is also going there. I'm formally right now the manager of the Android anti-malware team at Google. That's a team that has multiple responsibilities. For example, we are responsible for looking at all these suspicious applications in Google Play, suspicious applications that are side-loaded or preloaded on Android devices that are part of our certification program. But we also do threat research, not just operations, but we also try to be forward-looking. We help the platform security team with figuring out how they have to change the platform. We help the policy teams figuring out how to change the security and privacy policies of Google Play and so on. And I've been on this team for 14 years at this point. And before I became an Android malware reverse engineer or manager, I was previously a reverse engineer for security vulnerabilities. And a long time back, I was actually a software engineer that built reverse engineering tools. So binary code reverse engineering is pretty much all I've done since I left university. The agenda for today is twofold. There's a larger block that deals with fraud and theft safety. And then there's a smaller block which deals with a new feature that we're rolling out in this year, primarily in the second half of the year, which is called advanced protection. But before we go into these two blocks, I wanted to recall the scale that we're operating with here on the Android security team or at Google in general. So I brought 2 slides of metrics with me. The first one is about app and device safety metrics. For example, in the past year, we have stopped more than 2.3 million applications from getting published on Google Play because we believe they're either malicious, other way harmful, annoying, policy violating, maybe content that we do not want to have on Google Play, like pornography or gambling, copyright infringement, trademark, app impersonation, whatever it is. And in the same vein, we've also suspended 158,000 Google Play developer accounts of developers that we believe just don't add any value to the ecosystem and they just try to abuse our users. We've also worked with legitimate applications, with 1.3 million legitimate applications, to reduce the permissions that they are using to be more privacy preserving. And I'll give an example of that on one of the next few slides. And then our new technology, the Google Play Protect real-time scanner, which I will also discuss on the next few slides, has already found 13 million malicious applications outside of Google Play since its launch about a year and a bit ago. As far as theft, scam, and phishing protection go, we have this feature that rolled out about a year ago that it uses the motion sensors on your device to figure out if a phone gets yanked out of your hand while it's unlocked. And so we assumed it's a theft attempt. And if an unlocked device gets yanked out of your phone, out of your hand, it'll automatically get locked. And we've done that 250,000 times since launch. And hopefully we've protected at least a few people from having the unlocked device stolen. On the SMS messages side, the messaging app is protecting about 2 billion users every month, or rather it's flagging 2 billion messages as malicious, harmful, phishing attempt, social engineering attempt, whatever it is every month. And similarly, for our Google Chrome browser that deploys what's called safe browsing technology to warn users of harmful websites, we have increased phishing protection by 30% through new real-time checks that don't rely on a block list of known bad sites. All of that together led to a couple of surveys that we have seen that Android users, in particular on Pixel phones, feel more protected against scams than users on Samsung phones or iPhones. So we're pretty happy about that. Coming to the first major block now, fraud and theft safety. This is an area where we have launched a lot of new features in the past 12 months, and we're going to continue launching new features. Broadly speaking, these new features fall into two different categories. The first one is on the left-hand side, malware and permission abuse. And then the center and right side, we have scam and fraud protection. The first new feature that we launched is the real-time scanning protection in Google Play Protect. Google Play Protect is Google's on-device malware scanner for Android malware. And in the past, it has heavily relied on block lists and checking in with our backend servers to understand if an application is actually harmful. And the real-time scanner actually works on device without the need to make a query to our backend servers. And so that's a cool new feature that even works if you don't have internet access. The second new feature that we have launched is live threat detection. Live threat detection is essentially a dynamic analysis which observes what's happening on your phone, and if an application shows signs of being a phishing application or certain other attacks on your phone, it warns you. Google Play Protect warns you that this activity is happening right now on your phone. The Google Play Protect real-time scanning is more static analysis. Google Play Protect live threat detection is more dynamic analysis of what's happening on your phone. Then we have launched what's called the Google Play Protect Enhanced Fraud Protection feature. And it's underlined here because I will discuss that in more detail in the next few slides. So we're going to skip over that here. Then we've also launched a new workflow called Photo and Video Permission Enforcement, which is something we have on Google Play. To understand what it is about, it's one of the features where we have worked with legitimate Google Play developers to reduce the permissions that they're using in their applications on Google Play to be more privacy preserving. And for example, for this photo and video permission enforcement, we worked with the developers that have previously requested access to all of your photos and all of your videos to make sure that they use certain new permissions that we've launched on Android, where users don't blanket share all the photos they took, but rather they get to share individually which photos they want to share with an application. So hopefully that limits the access that applications have to the photos and videos you took on your device. The first of the scam and fraud protection features that we have rolled out is called single app screen sharing. I'll talk about that in a second. Then we're also now protecting credentials and passwords during screen sharing. That means if you screen share your device and someone's observing what's happening on your device, they will not get to see anymore which passwords or credentials you enter. It's blacked out. And similarly, we're also hiding notifications during screen sharing by default. Usually, if you share your screen, you want to show the observer certain features, but notifications come in uncontrolled. For example, if an SMS arrives, and it's very common that these notifications contain sensitive information. For example, your two-factor authentication code that arrived over SMS to unlock your bank account. So by default, we just don't share that anymore. And hopefully that makes the screen sharing experience a little bit safer. We also have more intelligent warnings to warn you about potentially dangerous links. I'll talk about that in a second. We have a new control feature in your messaging application so that you can turn off messages from unknown international senders. And we've improved our call screen feature. If you've never used the call screen feature, and I admit I've never used it, but I know it exists because I see it on my screen. It's an AI agent that you can activate when you have an incoming phone call. And instead of clicking hang up or pick up, you can click the screen button, and then an AI agent is picking up the screen and is trying to figure out what the caller wants from you. And then you can decide if you really want to pick up the phone. So hopefully stops a couple of scams. The first feature I wanted to go into more detail is enhanced fraud protection. And that feature has kind of an odd history because at some point a year and a half ago, I want to say, the Singaporean cybersecurity agency reached out to us and they asked us for help in combating mobile-based financial fraud that is gaining popularity in Singapore. And so we worked with them to come up with a solution that we could quickly roll out to users without having to go through like a full Android update, which usually takes a very long time to roll out. So we built this feature that I will just explain on the next slide, and we collaborated with the Singaporean cybersecurity agency to roll it out. And based on feedback we received, it was very positively received, and similar agencies in other countries started reaching out to us to also roll out that pilot in, for example, Thailand or Brazil, which are having similar problems with mobile-based financial fraud. The feature that we built is actually absurdly simple. We know from research, both internal research and external research, that the majority of financial fraud applications are from outside of Google Play. 95% of this kind of fraud is distributed outside of Google Play. And nearly all of these fraud applications or phishing applications use certain permissions. For example, the accessibility permission to take over your device. For example, permissions to access sensitive data on your phone, for example, your SMS messages or your notifications, which also contain the two-factor authentication codes as they come in. And so the feature is as simple as if an application installation is coming from a browser, a messaging app, or a file manager, which indicates some kind of side-loaded application, side load is happening. In particular, maybe as part of a social engineering attempt, because the browser is maybe the app is coming from a bad website, or the messaging app, the app is coming from a phishing message that lures you into installing an application. If you get any app like that, and it also has these high-risk permissions, we're just going to block it by default. And if you are a user that believes that despite all of these risk signals, you still want to go through with the installation, you can just disable Google Play Protect and do it anyway. But at least we showed you the warning, and hopefully we protected a lot of people. And the metrics show that we do actually protect a lot of people potentially. We have it deployed now over 15 different markets with 1.6 billion users, majority of them in India. And we've seen in the time frame since launch 143 million installation attempts of nearly 500,000 different unique packages that are on 35 million different devices. So hopefully it has protected a significant amount of people. As far as I know, the Singaporean cybersecurity agency is very happy with us, and so are many of the other regulators we've worked with. So there's a couple of newspaper articles, a couple of presentations, a couple of Twitter posts in the upper right corner. I believe it's a Twitter post. There are different national agencies that are tasked with protecting their national users are co-hosting events, co-hosting awareness campaigns in their respective countries. For example, I visited Singapore late last year, and you can actually see that the Singaporean government has public awareness campaigns in the metro stations or in public in general, where threats are highlighted and explained, and security and safety measures are also highlighted. So I think that's a very interesting campaign that the government is doing. Other features that we've launched that also hopefully protect people against being scammed, being defrauded, are all about screen sharing, for example. As we got better running automatic malicious app detection, a lot of the fraudsters have started introducing a social engineering component, which means a lot of the fraudsters now deploy people that are either working from home or from call centers that help victims navigate to the point of sharing sensitive information or luring users to install applications that can take over the phones and so on. And so one of the very popular ways to achieve that is actually to lure or convince the user to install legitimate screen sharing applications like AnyDesk. And because they're legitimate applications, we can't just delete them from user phones, right? Because these applications are supposed to have a benign background, for example, in remote tech support or in other remote scenarios. And so what do we do instead? Instead of removing these applications, we give users more awareness that they are sharing the screen with someone. For example, with this new screen sharing chip that allows you to see how long you've been sharing your screen with someone. And if you want to quickly terminate screen sharing, you can click the button. Or we also now automatically stop screen sharing when the screen locks. There's no purpose in continuing to share your screen when you're locking your screen, because why would you continue sharing your screen with someone if you're essentially stopping to use your device? And there's a third feature. We're also automatically stopping screen sharing that started. We're stopping the screen sharing when a call ends, if it started during a call, right? So you receive a call, you start screen sharing, and then you terminate a call. It automatically stops screen sharing. So why would you share your screen longer than during what's hopefully a tech support call? We've also worked with a couple of banks in the United Kingdom on a new feature that is called in-call protection for banking apps. And the idea is, if you are doing a screen sharing with someone that you don't know or you have not verified, and you open your bank application, the bank application can present some countermeasures here. And for example, we give out the option to immediately end the call and stop the screen sharing, because there's a high chance that it is not a legitimate call that asks you to open your bank application and perform certain actions in that bank application. So we've partnered with the banks AMTSO, NatWest, and Revolut, and hopefully we are getting to roll out this feature with more banks in the future. We have also strongly improved our what's called in-call scam detection blocking feature. The idea is, if you're on a call or if you're sharing your screen with someone and they ask you to lower the security state of your device, we'll block you from that. You can't do it during the call or the screen sharing. You have to drop off the call and then do it afterward. And that is a defense against certain very common techniques in social engineering. The first one is they want you to enable side loading from outside of Google Play to install malware. They want you to disable Google Play Protect, so we don't allow that anymore. But they also want you to enable certain features like accessibility services, which are capable of taking over your device if you already have a malicious application installed. So none of that is possible anymore while you're in a call or screen sharing with someone that is untrusted. We got better at our phone call-based scam detection. So we now have a very obvious user interface that warns you through audio and other warnings that you're likely being in a call that someone is trying to scam you. And we also do this for messages. So there's now a scam detection feature in Google Messages that analyzes the conversation that you're having. And of course, all of that is privacy preserving, happens only on the device, only for you. It's not shared back with Google. And if we believe, or if the AI model believes that you're part of a conversation that is likely leading to a fraud or scam attempt, we're showing you a warning right there in the Messages application. And hopefully that helps you to avoid being scammed. On the website protections on Google Chrome, we have new features rolled out. We have gotten a lot better with the safe browsing product that also now uses AI to do essentially what's called live protection of websites. So in the past, safe browsing was also very much about block lists and previously analyzing websites and showing warnings if a user navigates to a previously known bad website. But we're now deploying more and more AI to also live analyze a website. And if it turns out it's a dangerous website, then we show you a warning. And a completely new feature is that Chrome browsing is now also scanning the notifications that are coming from websites. And if we believe you're getting a scam notification, a fraud notification, a phishing notification, we'll show you a safe browsing-based warning instead of the notification. Besides fraud and scams, another big problem that can lead to your bank account being compromised is device theft, right? Originally, back in the days, device theft was very simple. Someone stole your device. There were many exploits or many unprotected devices where you could just navigate to the bank application and potentially steal money if the bank application didn't have proper two-factor authentication set up. So over the years, this got a little bit harder because now if your device is properly locked, it's actually very hard to unlock it. A normal common thief will not be able to unlock a modern mobile phone if it's on a lock screen. So the thieves gotten a little bit smarter, and instead of trying to steal locked phones, they're now trying to steal unlocked phones. And there are many videos on the internet where you can watch, for example, in London or also in Brazil, people approaching the victims on the street. The fraudsters or the thieves are coming on a bike from behind on a motorbike, steal the phone that is in use currently because someone is checking their messages, their Google Maps or whatever, and then they just drive away after grabbing the phone out of people's hands. So the first of the protections that we have introduced to help people in this scenario is what's called theft detection lock. I mentioned that before. We use the motion sensors on devices to figure out if someone is yanking the phone out of your hand while your phone is unlocked. And if that is detected, we automatically lock your phone. And that means if any thief wants to get to your private apps or to your private data, they would need to unlock your phone first, and that's going to be hard. Of course, the next step that thieves usually do is they disable tracking. They don't want you to use an application like Find My Device to find where your phone is and potentially to come with the police to take it back, right? And so what do we do now? If an application, if a device goes offline, we automatically lock the device again. And then the thief would have to actually find the credentials first, which they probably don't have access to unlock it again. And similarly, we're also protecting sensitive settings with additional authentication. So we make sure that you will still be able to use Find My Device if the device goes online again. Then thieves usually start going through your applications. They maybe sometimes try to get into your bank application. And if your bank application uses the authentication method of the system and they fail 5 times, the thief fails 5 times to get into your bank account or into other protected applications, we're also going to lock the device. And that's probably the end of the thief's abilities to interact with your device. And additionally to that, we also have the remote lock capabilities. So the users can quickly respond to phone theft by going to the website of the Find My Device application and locking the phone. And also then we have actually hardened what we call factory reset protection. So at least in the past, it was possible to reset the device and then sell it as basically as a fresh device where you can just set up a new account. And at some point, we introduced this factory reset protection technology, and this year we improved that. So hopefully it's going to be harder to reset and resell devices going forward. And then in Q1, we launched another new feature, which is called the identity check feature. And the identity check feature kicks in if you believe that your phone was stolen. We're going to require additional biometrics or other security authentication to make changes to your Google account. So if a thief goes to your Google account and tries to make certain changes, they can't do that anymore without re-authenticating. Additional things that we have changed for theft protection, there's now a security question that you can add to your remote lock, so nobody can abuse the remote lock functionality without also knowing your security question. Factory reset protection already mentioned. And then we're also hiding one-time passwords on your lock screen. That means if an SMS or another message comes in that has some kind of two-factor password, for example, log into your bank account, you won't be able to see that on the lock screen anymore. You actually have to unlock the device to see that, that password that hopefully protects accounts for users that have lost their device. That's it for theft and fraud and scam protection. And then the second section I have is much shorter. It's about advanced protection. It's essentially a pre-announcement because that's mostly rolling out the second half of the year. The Advanced Protection Program has launched for Google products in general a couple of years ago. And now Android is joining the Advanced Protection Program. Google's Advanced Protection Program is essentially a program that can help users self-select their device and their account to receive stronger protection against targeted attacks. It was originally devised for at-risk individuals such as journalists, elected officials, public figures, or just people like me, for example. I have it enabled because I prioritize security. And if you go to your Google account and you activate Advanced Protection, you get the strongest protection at a cost of certain, I would say, usability features. And I'll talk about that on the next slide. Now that Android is officially joining the Advanced Protection Program, there's going to be a couple of changes to your device settings and a couple of new features that are getting rolled out to your devices if you join. For example, the most interesting one, I would say, launches in the second half of the year, is that we have a feature called Security Investigation. And the nature of that Security Investigation feature is that essentially a couple of months ago, certain NGOs that are often under attack by capable threat actors have approached us and they have asked, how can we figure out if my Android device is under attack? How can we figure out if my Android device has already been compromised? And traditionally, Android has not actually made a lot of forensic capabilities available, or any at all. So there was no good answer. And so going forward, if your device has Advanced Protection enabled, we're going to do certain forensic logging that you can then take off the device and have it analyzed by a security company, for example, if you want to know if your device has been under attack or has been compromised. For device safety, if you have Advanced Protection enabled, we automatically enable theft detection lock for snatching phones out of your hand. We enable other theft features, anti-theft features like the offline device lock. We enable an inactivity reboot that automatically starts with if your device has been locked for 72 hours. That's very useful, for example, to protect against USB-based exploitation attempts to unlock your device. And similarly, if your device is locked, they're going to roll out a feature that there's no more data transfer over USB while it's locked. And instead, you can only charge, which hopefully also reduces the amounts of successful exploit attempts over USB. On the messaging app, we're going to have spam and scam protections enabled automatically. And we're going to have automatic link warnings sent from unknown users, enabled for unknown users. On the phone application, we automatically enable call ID and spam detection, and we're going to also automatically enable call screen and scam detection. For network security features, we have two interesting things. The first one has already launched in the past. We're going to disable support for 2G, and we're going to restrict legacy networks, which have been often used by state actors to spy on your phone activity using devices like the famous Stingray devices. But we're also going to disable auto reconnect to insecure Wi-Fi networks going forward if you have Advanced Protection. So you would have to manually reconnect to insecure Wi-Fi networks if you want that. In the Chrome browser, we're going to enable safe browsing by default, cannot be disabled. We're going to also make sure that your browser always has HTTPS enabled, so hopefully no more connections to insecure websites, and maybe a controversial feature. But we're going to disable the JavaScript optimizer. JavaScript optimization is very hard. It's very complex, and so it's always a source of vulnerabilities and exploits. So if you have Advanced Protection, we're going to disable that and to raise the security bar. On the application side, Google Play Protect cannot be disabled anymore. Side loading will no longer be allowed, so you're going to have to use the store that you have on your device, be it our store, be it a Samsung store, whatever your OEM is. And then we're also going to enable memory tagging extension for browsers. MTE is a feature of ARM chips that essentially tries to mitigate certain memory corruption-based vulnerabilities and exploits based on that, like use after free or buffer overflows and so on. And that's it. That's my pre-announcement for advanced protection. So hopefully you are interested in that and maybe enable it on your device. And that's also it for today. That's the presentation. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to introduce these new features that we have to better protect Android users from scams, fraud, malware, and exploits.